The stars looked silent, but silence in the galaxy always hid something. The Empire ruled with pride, stretching across thousands of systems. Every alien race feared their ships, their armies, and their technology. They believed no one could rise against them. Yet in their oldest records, buried deep, there was one line of warning left by their ancestors. Do not challenge humanity. Do not wake them. Do not enter their ruins. Most leaders of the Empire laughed at it. To them, humans were nothing more than a myth, a forgotten species who had destroyed themselves long ago. They were said to be violent, reckless, and impossible to control. But if they were gone, why fear them? Why remember them? The warning should have been enough. But arrogance was louder than caution. One day, explorers from the Empire discovered something strange on the edge of a forgotten system. It was a broken colony, half buried on a lifeless world. The buildings were old, blackened by fire, but there was still a mark etched into the stone. A symbol. A name. Humanity. The commander of the fleet laughed as he stood inside the ruined hall. This is the mighty humanity. Burnt stone and dust? We have conquered far greater enemies. His words carried across the room, but his officers felt uneasy. The air seemed heavy, as if the ruins themselves were watching. That night, soldiers reported shadows moving in the empty colony. Their scanners picked up signals that should not exist. Faint whispers of old transmissions, human voices echoing from nowhere. A soldier swore he heard footsteps behind him, but when he turned, nothing was there. The commander dismissed it all as nerves. Ghost stories, he said. Do not let a dead race frighten you. But the younger soldiers spoke quietly among themselves. They remembered the old warning. Back on the capital world, the discovery spread. Scholars argued. Some said it was proof humanity once lived, but had long perished. Others whispered that if ruins still existed, perhaps humans were not gone at all. The High Council of the Empire debated for days. The older members urged silence. They knew the warning, even if they did not understand it. But the Emperor, proud and unyielding, gave a different command. Search deeper. Bring me everything that belongs to humanity. If they live, they will kneel before us. If they are dead, we will erase even their memory. The Empire's fleets moved quickly. More colonies were found, scattered across dead worlds. Each ruin carried strange technology, broken yet still humming with energy. Every attempt to study it ended in disaster. A research team on one planet simply vanished. Their camp was found empty. Their tools dropped in the sand. Another team tried to power a human engine. It exploded with such force that it destroyed the entire moon. Still, the Empire refused to stop. To them, this was a challenge. To admit fear was weakness, and then came the first true sign. A patrol ship, small but swift, entered the orbit of a ruined human station. Its crew reported static as though thousands of voices were trying to speak at once. Then the signal cut. The ship never returned. Search vessels arrived later, but all they found was the patrol ship's hull drifting, every panel burned from the inside. One officer whispered, "It is them. They are not gone. They are warning us." But the commander silenced him with a single strike. Do not speak their name again. Yet fear spread faster than orders. Across the fleets, whispers grew. Whispers of shadows in the stars. Whispers of ships moving without light. Whispers of humanity watching, waiting. In the halls of the Empire, officials mocked these stories. But in private, some of them woke from dreams filled with fire and screaming voices. One scholar uncovered an old fragment of data. It spoke of the last time the Empire's ancestors had seen humanity. It was not in peace. It was in war. The record was broken, but one line remained clear. They fight like no other. If they fall, they rise again. If they die, they take you with them. If they vanish, fear the day they return. The scholar brought this to the Emperor, but his warning was ignored. The Emperor stood before his council, proud as ever. Humanity is nothing. A dead race cannot fight. A forgotten people cannot rise. We are the Empire. We decide what is feared. But outside, in the empty reaches of space, something stirred. A signal, faint but real, pulsed from the ruins. It was a human transmission, broken by time. But the words were still clear enough for anyone who listened. We warned you. The Empire did not understand. They thought it was a threat from the past, an echo left behind by ancient machines. But those who were wiser, those who remembered the old stories, felt their blood turn cold. Because the warning was never just history. It was a promise, and the promise was about to be fulfilled. The Empire had grown fat on victory. For centuries, no race had dared resist their fleets. Worlds surrendered before the first shot was fired. Planets bent their knees, offering tribute of gold, fuel, and soldiers. To them, humanity was just another story to erase. The Emperor stood high in his throne chamber, golden light washing over him, and declared, "Humanity is not a threat. Humanity is a resource. They left behind machines, weapons, and secrets. We will take it all. We will claim their strength for ourselves." His words echoed across the Empire. Nobles cheered. Generals bowed. To them, this was not a warning to fear. It was an opportunity to grow even stronger. And so fleets were sent to capture human ruins. The first fleet arrived at a broken station orbiting a dead sun. It was massive, scarred by fire, but still floating after thousands of years. Its surface glowed faintly with energy that no alien scientist could explain. The Empire's ships surrounded it like wolves around wounded prey, soldiers boarded with pride, armor gleaming under the lights. They expected dust and silence. Instead, they found walls humming with strange power. The deeper they walked, the more the station seemed alive. Their helmets picked up faint voices, recordings, or perhaps something else. A soldier swore he heard children laughing. Another said he heard marching boots. The commander ordered them forward. "This is nothing but malfunctioning echoes. Strip the station. Bring everything back to the Empire." But the moment they tried, the station fought back. Doors sealed without warning. Lights flickered, blood red. An old human console activated by itself, displaying one word in a language most aliens could not read. Only the scholars recognized it. It said, "Leave." The soldiers laughed. They tried to cut the walls open with plasma. Their weapons failed. Their armor cracked. And one by one, their signals went dark. The fleet dragged the remains of the station back to the Empire's labs. Scientists worked for weeks to open its secrets. But every experiment ended in disaster. One machine released a shockwave that disabled half the city's power grid. Another machine swallowed an entire lab into nothingness, leaving only empty floor where dozens of scientists once stood. Still, the Emperor ordered more. Failure is the cost of greatness. Humanity's tools will be ours. More fleets launched, hunting for human ruins. Each one returned with pieces of technology, each one with more dead. Soldiers whispered about cursed missions. Engineers refused to touch human machines. But arrogance crushed fear. The Empire punished anyone who spoke against the plan. One captain stood before the Emperor, trembling. He had seen what humanity left behind. He begged for caution. "Your Majesty, these machines, they do not want us. They reject us. I believe humanity is not dead. They are watching." The words never finished. The Emperor silenced him with one strike of his blade. His blood stained the throne steps. "Humanity is gone," the Emperor said coldly. "We are the only empire now." But even as he spoke, reports poured in from the outer systems. Patrols vanishing. Ships drifting empty. Fleets lost to unknown attacks. Every commander gave the same excuse: malfunctions, accidents, pirates. None dared admit the truth, that something was hunting them. And then came the first true battle. A grand fleet of 30 ships entered the orbit of a ruined world. Scanners picked up faint human signals. The commander laughed, sure it was nothing but old static. He ordered his fleet forward, but then, without warning, the stars moved. A massive shadow appeared. A ship not alien, not of the Empire. Its hull was dark, scarred by war, its size dwarfing even the Empire's largest dreadnought. Across its side, in letters burned but still alive, was a name: Resolute. The Empire's fleet fired first. Hundreds of blasts lit the sky. Explosions rained across the shadowed ship. When the smoke cleared, the Resolute still floated, unbroken. Its weapons came alive with blinding light. One shot tore through 3 Empire ships at once. Another ripped open the command vessel. The commander screamed into the comms, "Impossible. Destroy them!" But the Resolute did not fight like the Empire. It did not retreat, did not hesitate. Every strike was perfect, precise, merciless. Within minutes, the fleet of 30 ships was reduced to fire and wreckage. One surviving scout transmitted the last report before vanishing. "They are back. Humanity has returned." The Empire called it a lie. Officials told the people it was a pirate ambush, nothing more. They silenced every voice that spoke otherwise. But deep inside, the truth spread. Soldiers knew. Captains whispered in fear. Engineers refused to work. And in the streets of the capital, one question passed through the crowds like fire. What if the old warning was real? The Empire tried to hide the truth. They told the galaxy that the fleet's destruction was a mistake, an accident, a clash with pirates. But deep inside, every soldier who had seen the dark shadow knew what it was. Humanity was no ghost. Humanity had returned. Whispers spread faster than fire in dry grass. In the barracks of soldiers, in the quarters of engineers, in the markets of distant colonies, everyone spoke the same name with fear. Humanity. Some called them monsters. Others called them legends. But no one called them weak. The Emperor silenced every voice that dared to speak openly. He ordered executions for those who spread human lies. Yet the silence could not kill fear. Because even as the Empire tried to crush the truth, more reports came. Patrols lost. Convoys gone. And always, the same shadow seen before the end. Giant ships scarred by time, bearing human names. One such encounter came in the cold void near the Black Rift Nebula. A convoy of supply ships moved under heavy guard. Dozens of Empire cruisers surrounded them. The commander laughed when his men whispered of human ghosts. "We are the Empire," he said proudly. "No shadow will touch us," but the shadow touched them. Out of the rift came a human ship, silent as death. Not sleek, not shining, but heavy, armored, its surface cracked yet unbroken. Its lights burned blue like fire. The Empire opened fire, desperate to prove strength. Blasts of plasma and rail shot cut across the void. The human ship moved like nothing they had ever seen. It bent space itself, appearing where it should not. In a single strike, it split the lead cruiser in half. The convoy scattered in terror, but there was nowhere to run. The human vessel hunted them one by one, precise and relentless. Within minutes, the convoy was gone. The last message the Empire received from that fleet was a whisper of static. A soldier's broken voice: "They are not machines. They are not gone. They are human." The capital world of the Empire shook with fear. The council met in secret, their voices low, their hands trembling. Some demanded peace, but peace with humans was impossible. The old record said it clearly: humanity did not forgive. Humanity did not bow. The Emperor rose, his voice iron. "They dare return from the shadows? Then we will show them we are stronger. We will crush them before their fleet spread." But already it was too late. Across the galaxy, human signals began to rise. Not one ship, not two, dozens. Entire fleets emerging from the dark, carrying the old names of Earth's past. Resolute, Valiant, Courage, Defiance. Aliens across the Empire watched in horror as their most powerful armadas fell one after another. Human weapons were not like theirs. They did not simply burn ships. They erased them, bending matter, bending light, tearing entire cruisers apart in silence. And yet, the greatest fear was not the weapons. It was the way humans fought. They fought with patience. They fought with unity. They fought as if every battle was personal. Their ships bore scars not repaired, as if they carried their pain into war. They moved like predators who had waited too long. One survivor from a destroyed fleet spoke before the council, shaking with terror. "We shot them 1,000 times. They bled fire. They did not stop. They came closer and closer. And when they struck, I swear, I saw their faces. Not anger, not mercy, only determination." The council fell silent. Even the Emperor had no answer. In the outer colonies, rebellions rose. Aliens who had suffered under the Empire for centuries now whispered of joining the humans. They saw humanity not as monsters, but as liberators, a power that could break the chains of the Empire. The Emperor ordered these whispers crushed, but his armies were stretched thin. Too many fleets were gone. Too many soldiers refused to fight. And still, the humans came. One night, above the skies of the Empire's largest fortress world, the shadow appeared again. A human fleet silent, countless in number. The stars themselves seemed to vanish under their size. They did not fire at once. They sent a message. It was not in the alien tongue. It was in the voice of humanity, translated only by the oldest records. The words were few, but they shook the galaxy. "You were warned." And with that, fire fell from the skies, the fortress world burned. The Empire's defenses, built over centuries, crumbled in hours. Billions watched in silence as the humans cut through every shield, every ship, every proud monument. When the smoke cleared, the humans did not claim the world. They left it in ruins. A warning, as their ancestors had left before. Now no one in the galaxy laughed at the old warning. Now everyone understood. Humanity had returned, and they would not stop. The Empire had always lived with pride. Fear was something they inflicted, never something they felt. But now fear had entered their halls, their fleets, and even their Emperor's own heart. Humanity was not just a shadow. Humanity was fire, and the fire was spreading. The Emperor sat in his golden chamber, surrounded by his generals. They argued, voices sharp and broken. Some demanded a final strike against the humans. Others whispered of retreat, of surrender. No one could agree. The air was thick with panic. Finally, the Emperor slammed his fist upon the throne. "We are the Empire. Fear is for the weak. These humans are flesh and blood. They can die. They will die." But even as he spoke, the reports kept arriving. From the southern rim, entire fleets gone. From the eastern systems, fortresses shattered. From the western colonies, rebellions rising. And from the north, the worst news of all, the humans were not alone. Aliens long enslaved by the Empire now rose in defiance. They joined humanity, offering ships, soldiers, and knowledge. Where once the Empire ruled unquestioned, now planets lit their skies with human signals. The Empire's strength, stretched thin, began to break. On one battlefield above the desert world of Taris, an Empire fleet of 50 warships faced a smaller human fleet of 10. The Empire commander laughed, sure of victory. But the humans fought differently. They did not scatter, did not flee. They formed a wall of fire, every ship covering the others. The Empire unleashed wave after wave of attacks, but the humans moved as one, their counterstrikes cutting through ship after ship. Within an hour, 40 of the Empire's proud vessels were gone. Only 10 limped away, broken and burning. For the first time, Empire soldiers refused to follow orders. Some abandoned their ships. Others surrendered the moment they saw human fleets. The fear was no longer hidden. It was alive in their eyes. The humans did not conquer with numbers. They conquered with will. On the Empire's capital streets, the people whispered at night, "The humans are not like us. They do not kneel. They do not forgive." Some even prayed to them, seeing them as avengers sent by the stars. The Emperor ordered mass executions of those who spread such words. Bodies hung in the city squares. But even that could not erase the truth. For every voice silenced, 10 more whispered louder. One day in the Grand War Council, a general stepped forward. His armor was cracked from battle, his face pale with exhaustion. He looked the Emperor in the eye and spoke what no one else dared. "Majesty, they cannot be beaten. Their ships bleed and burn, but they rise again. Their soldiers fight with fire in their hearts. We strike them down and they strike back harder. We are fighting not an enemy but a storm." The Emperor's hand trembled on his throne. "Then what do you suggest?" The general lowered his head. "We must beg them for peace." The chamber froze. Silence weighed heavy. Then the Emperor rose, his voice a roar of rage. "Peace with vermin who crawl from ruins? With a race that dares defy us? Never." His blade flashed, and the general fell lifeless at his feet. But the fear did not die with him. It grew stronger. Outside the council halls, humanity struck again. They did not aim for wealth or resources. They aimed for the heart of the Empire. They targeted command stations, communication hubs, shipyards. Every strike was precise, every victory complete. And when the battles ended, the humans left messages carved into the stars. Sometimes a burning station carried the word warning. Other times a dead fleet's remains spelled out a single human phrase. "You were told." The arrogance of the Empire cracked. The people began to question their Emperor. Soldiers began to hesitate in battle. Generals no longer believed in victory. The galaxy that once trembled at the Empire's name now trembled at humanity's return. And yet, humanity showed no sign of slowing. They advanced further and further, a tide of iron and fire. Each step forward carried not only weapons, but also the truth. The Empire had learned fear, and fear was only the beginning. The galaxy had changed. For centuries, the Empire had been the master, its will the only law. But now its fleets were burning, its soldiers broken, and its people whispering in fear. Humanity, the race once thought forgotten, had returned not as slaves, not as beggars, but as executioners of arrogance. The Emperor sat alone in his throne hall, golden walls echoing with silence. His generals were gone, some dead, some fled, some vanished into the shadows. Only the Emperor's pride remained, a hollow armor around a frightened heart. Outside, the humans came. A fleet darker and larger than any before filled the skies above the capital world. Their ships were not polished like the Empire's vessels. They were scarred, heavy, carrying wounds of ancient wars, but they burned with a light no one could understand, the light of human determination. The Empire's last defenders launched in desperation. Thousands of ships rose, filling the void with fire. They fought not for victory but for survival. For a moment, the sky itself turned into a storm of explosions. But the humans moved like predators. They struck with precision, every blast cutting exactly where it needed to. Communication lines collapsed. Shield grids died. Command ships exploded one by one. The Empire's proud armada dissolved into dust and screams. On the surface, billions watched as the sky burned. Towers shook. Oceans boiled with falling wreckage. Children cried, elders prayed, soldiers dropped their weapons. The fear that had spread in whispers now screamed across every heart, and then, as the last defenses fell, the humans spoke. A single transmission filled every channel, translated by ancient code into the alien tongue. The voice was calm, cold, steady. You were warned. We told you once, we told you again. You mocked us. You hunted us. You forgot what we are. Now you will remember. The Emperor stood from his throne, his hands trembling. He shouted at the empty chamber as if humanity could hear. You are nothing but flesh. You are dust. We are the Empire. We cannot fall. But his words carried no power. Outside, human ships descended through the atmosphere, their shadows covering the capital like a dark storm. The Emperor tried to flee. He ran through the golden halls, his guards already gone, his palace crumbling with fire. He reached the balcony and looked up at the sky, only to see the massive shape of a human dreadnought lowering above his city, its cannons glowing with fire brighter than suns. And then he saw them. Through the ship's viewport, human figures stood. Not ghosts, not myths, men and women of flesh, their eyes burning with the will to finish what had been started long ago. They did not smile. They did not rage. They only stared with a promise carved in steel. The last lesson. The Emperor screamed as the sky opened. Fire rained down. The palace split in two. The golden towers of the Empire, symbols of power that had lasted 1,000 years, crumbled into dust. The capital burned for 3 days. When the fire ended, there was no throne, no council, no empire, only silence and the mark of humanity's return. But humanity did not claim the ruins. They did not raise flags or demand tribute. They left the ashes behind, carrying only their message to the galaxy. We do not conquer. We do not kneel. We remember, and you should have remembered too. Across the stars, alien races who had suffered under the Empire rose in freedom. Some saw humans as saviors, others as monsters, but none could deny the truth. The warning had always been real. Never challenge humanity, because humanity did not fight for greed. Humanity fought for survival, for memory, for the unbreakable will that no empire could erase. The galaxy learned its last lesson in fire, that of all the forces in the universe, nothing was more relentless, nothing more dangerous, and nothing more unstoppable than humanity united.